You've tuned in to KEXP, live at home. My name is Gabriel Teodros. I'm here today with one of my favorite MCs. She dropped an incredible album this year called The Sharecropper's Daughter. Her name is Sa-Roc, live from Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing, Sa-Roc?
I am excellent. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to see you. Thank you for blessing us with a performance today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce this first song?
Sure. So this next one, this first song is called it's called 40 and a Mule, 40 Acres and a Mule. And it's really all about like demanding what's yours, demanding, what's owed, whether it's through like your just due accolades or, respect in the game, or whether it's to, historically reparations, coming for what's yours. And it's a nod to, of course, the idea that formerly enslaved Africans were promised 40 acres and a mule post-slavery. So, yeah.
Let's hear it. Sa-Roc, KEXP, live at home.
We out for reparations all 2021 and beyond, y'all. Tell them pay me what they owe me. 40 acres. Look, I'm back like I never left. Should've been first in my class, but I second guessed. Third I got my little dry spell wet to death. And that ain't thirst for this holy drip, guess I'm blessed. Bum. Imagine being underrated, most undefeated rhyme rated on your playlist, gender unrelated. They wanna put the rock in the square box. When I pop the question, who better than I? They don't come debate it. Cause I'm young, black, and gifted blood. That's the type of traits make you a statistic blood. First they check out and they copy your existence blood. But I'm bespoke, DNA patterns encrypted. Blood that's black gold and massa moose bricks. Sahara desert glow, head scarf but a loose stitch. Powder ticking off the coast of Amalfi with two hitters shipping gunpowder, eating a Moroccan coast dish. God?
Tell the sound man, get the levels up.
It's 40 and a mule,
Time to settle up.
I ain't in the mood for the small talk. Gay since the grind popped off, I ain't letting up. Tell the sound man,
Get the levels up.
Yeah, it's 40 and a mule,
Time to settle up.
Yeah, I ain't in the mood for the small talk. Yeah, district born to risk the dawn. With something semi-precious, super his sticks is glowing. I'm in a deep state of mind, the Dalai Lama inclined. Plotting to overthrow the oval in the system's dawn. They try to send some me instantly on 100. Name a side to make sense. I'ma be the most wanted. Wanna send for me, got the century on a hunt. With that I sounding like a freaking symphony, son. Pen is my weapon of choice, even that of the sword. Either way, I take my point and leave you mad and destroyed. I wage war with every subpar competitor. Better learn my bars before battle, keep my daggers deployed.
When I watch TV, and I see all them people in all them fine homes they live in, and all them nice cars they drive, and I get all full of ambition. Now you tell me what I'm supposed to do with all this ambition I got.
But they don't want me to win it though, with a surprise. And they don't like you to win till they can cut you to size. But what's a small axe to a redwood? I'm good on the Grammy, beloved and Morrison, Pulitzer Prize. I'm trying to hide the clip so I can put my sisters on. Me and this mic, this might be Siamese, the grip conjoined. Took 11 years of spitting at God level. Now the merch table stacking beaut faces, that's that Krishna coin. Build generational wealth like trust funds. Goals arose within the flows, construction. If I get in everybody coming with me +1. And all I know I'ma end it, no more melodies, just drums. Rock. Tell the sound man,
Get the levels up.
it's 40 and a mule,
Time to settle up.
I ain't in the mood for the small talk. Gay since the ground popped off, I ain't letting up. Tell the sound man,
Get the levels up.
it's 40 and a mule, time to settle up. I ain't in the mood for the small talk. Gay since the ground popped off, I ain't letting up. 40 acres. Yeah. We about to create a stress-free zone in here, y'all. Yeah, I'm just trying to elevate. If I could get a taste of my freedom, I would savor every tidbit. Pilot planes like I was the ski, the flaggers let them in, call me collegiates. Why get violent on these mics can turn a phrase like I can Tina. Stories blooded and beaten so well, we're caught in on red tails, how convenient facts. The struggle I know, left physical scars is lasting proof. Mommy and pops residual trauma, pushing the bottles absolute. Homie, that 90s era was rocky, had to be sliding off Fox the Coupe. Everyone knows a rose can grow from cracks, but most don't blossom fruit. So my lyrical watts like miracle drops, BB, I'm pasta news, that's day Play live from the soul, I'm undersold and over hip-hop to boot. They worship green like Gaga, bands to ear like radio top 10 crews. My samples clear, I push them like the beers, no conflict, just the truth. Sick 'em the plug, I'm giving the people the power, try not to blood the views. I'm so close to these lower and upper cases that I guess it is best to recuse. Telling me I need a party and bullshit to win with it, homie, I guess I'ma lose. Ain't no biggie, I'm Black Obsidian, raps New Gideon, summon the troops, rock. I'm turning over a new leaf, shame life with a new lease. Game time, different frame mind, hit the lap up like a two-piece. I ain't a fan of the fame, y'all keep the bread and the groupies. I just wanna go below fam in the fight, win, bet the crew eats. My God, stress-free zone. This the best free zone. Just wanna go below fam in the fight, win, bet the crew eats. My God, stress-free zone. Yeah, this the best free zone. I'm just trying to elevate. You dig? They wasn't feeling that space shit. Told them I was on another level. They said they only investing in fauna and flora like pussy and flower petals. Pardon my tongue, but I go a bit with gods and spar with horny devils. You rubber with dogs, you come up with fleas and potty my trying to black in the kettle. I am not an island. Hold up the dice for with my limbs. Fuck up the system with this, they typical gabs, some converse and islands. I am the conversion of a storm born, I'm a monsoon in Thailand. And if my black fist in my womb irks you, here's the world's smartest violin. Check it. I'm turning over a new leaf. Shame life with a new leash. Game time, different frame mind. Hit the lap up like a two-piece. I ain't a fan of the fame. Y'all keep the bread and the groupies. I just want a group alone fam in the fight. Win, bet the crew eats. My God, this is stress-free zone. This the best free zone. Just want a group alone fam in the fight. Win, bet the crew eats. My God, this is stress-free zone. This the best free zone. I'm just trying to elevate. You dig. Yeah. I'm just trying to elevate y'all.
You dig? Raw lyricism. That's Sa-Roc. Soul Messiah on the ones and twos, man. First of all, stunning work on the album. Can you please introduce people to your DJ and producer?
Yes. Soul Messiah, he has been in the game for quite some time, has been a part of almost every facet of hip hop, from DJing to b-boying. He was in Rocksteady for a time. Production. He used to do some graffiti drawings and stuff when he was young and, young at heart. So yeah, we've been working together for years now since I started rhyming. That man told me what a 16 was.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's we create with a synergy that I think that you don't see a lot of places because he understands like my voice. He understands what I can do with it. He understands the potential. I understand like how he produces, and I can, we both can kind of like make requests of one another. Like, can we get something like this? And where he'll be like, can you sing on this? And, see how that sounds. And I think it creates a beautiful harmony. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Y'all sound so good together. And this album, like I said, was a leap. Man, for people who are new to your music, can you give them a little bit of history? Like, I know you're like, is it 10 albums in now?
Man, it's
I've lost
this
count.
Is 13.
Wow.
And it's not, all of them aren't like full albums, but some are mixtapes and some are, EPs and stuff. But as far as like bodies of work, 13. And I started in 2008, off the humble on I really stumbled upon this career path, this artistic path, just because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I've always dabbled in the creative arts, in various modalities, from theater to I wrote throughout like my life, poetry and stuff like that. But I had no idea. I was always I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just gonna say, what were you doing 13 years ago that pushed you to it? Like, what was
that?
What happened that year?
I left school.
Okay.
And I left my hometown and moved to Atlanta and had a regular job and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had just came back from Africa on a trip and just trying to figure out what my place was, like what I was going to do. And it literally was just, I've been, friends with Soul Messiah. He was working with a lot of different artists in Atlanta, and he had done like a lot of work with some notable MCs and stuff. And he would have like these beat CDs, and I would just vibe off of these beat CDs. I would just love listening to the music over and over again. And, play around with like melodies and stuff like that. And then one day, I was around all this hip hop, around all these MCs, and I loved to listen to it. And I was like, yeah, man, I was in the studio, let me record some of my poetry. Let me record like a poem of mine and see like how it sounds, getting amped. I had all this time to get hype about like what I would sound like recorded or whatever. And I recorded something, and he didn't think it was that bad. He was like, okay, this is cool. Like, wow. And he was kind of shocked actually, because one of the things that he would run into working with new artists or working with just artists in general, like artists not knowing how to like ride the beat or like be on rhythm, like that to him, like in his experience, that was a skill that had to be developed. And immediately, like I, knew how to do that, especially coming from like writing poetry, which is kind of like it's a whole different world, even though it's similar in terms of like using words and, rhyme patterns and stuff like that. It can be similar in that way. But anyway, so he was like, let's do some more. So I was like, okay, ego stroked. All right, let me see. Let me see what else I could do. So I ended up recording like several songs, and a lot of them ended up becoming, my first EP, which was Astral Chronicles.
Okay.
And I remember performing, not of my own accord. I was called up. There was the homie, he had a local radio station in Atlanta, spun hip hop. And I remember a fundraiser for Dr. Matula Shakur. And the climate at that time, the activist community, the cultural community was very interwoven with the independent hip hop community. And so when I was at the show, just like, being there at the fundraiser, and he got on the mic and was like, yo, Sa-Roc, we want you to come up here and bless the mic. And I'm like, I was new to hip hop, as an artist, but I knew enough to know that if someone calls you on stage, you better get up there. Like, you got to show and prove, right? So I get on stage and I do one of my numbers. I don't know which one. And like the crowd was really responding to it. Like, and I was like, whoa, like, okay, I know I recorded some stuff, but like they're really vibing to it. And that was a little bit of confirmation for me. Like that intrigued me, I would say. I was like, let me try this some more, because this seems like I'm in my bag a little bit. I can like afford to figure this thing out. And I did, and now we're 13 albums in, 13 projects in.
Wow. And just that level of consistency with the amount of work that you've put out, that's not normal. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that's kept you going for, I guess, this long, but also like that consistent with like new material? You know what I mean?
For me, hip hop has always been a process of self-discovery, really creative expression in general. Because I've always been a very analytical person, I was destined for a career in the sciences, like didn't really feel comfortable being fully free with that side of myself. But as I started to uncover that, I realized that it brought like so much transformation in my life, my own kind of self-healing and, just kind of figuring out my perspective, my point of view, my voice. And in articulating that, I developed a love for it. And so once I figured out that this could be a path for me, and once I saw how people were responding to it and people were supporting it, it was like, yo, this could actually be something that could sustain me financially, as well as sustain me, really like just sustain my well-being, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, like, I'm really trying to get my name known because I'm playing catch up. I'm in the middle of tons of incredibly talented artists in Atlanta who've been doing it for years. And I'm just starting, you know, I'm learning what a 16 is. I'm trying to figure out how to write hooks. You know, I am, you know, figuring out my stage performance at the time that these people have been doing it for that long. So like, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, but I'm also like, okay, let me sharpen my, you know, craft. Let me get myself together because this is a competitive sport, you know. So I'm at the time, I'm like, I'm growing as I'm writing music. I'm growing as I'm putting out albums. So for me, it was like class. It was like a classroom, a creative classroom. And then also it was like, yo, how can I get out this 9 to 5? I have to work to put out materials so that people know who I am. And it ended up working because like people would tell us like, oh, you're putting out too much music, too much content. You're going to flood it. You know, people need a chance to digest what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, but the more videos that I put out, there's more of a chance that people who are not in Atlanta are going to see what I do. People are going to start to crave. They're going to expect and want more music. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, it was so many reasons why, like, I was frantically creating music. It was just helping me in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Helping me grow.
And we've talked about this before on the Sound and Vision interview, but well, first of all, I want to talk more about the Sharecropper's Daughter, but let's get to that in the next little segment, you know. But this next song, I know it was the first song that you wrote for this album. It's called Forever. It's a very healing track. Do you want to talk about what led to this song in particular and how it led to the entire album?
Yeah, Forever. I feel like Forever was my affirmation, my love letter to my younger self, who I had, you know, experienced a lot of sorrow when I was young, just from my, you know, my environment, and then just not seeing a lot of reflections of myself, of reflections of beauty that looked like me. And just doubting myself, you know, having all these doubts that are typical of, you know, teenagers and, you know, or young adults, but feeling powerless amidst, you know, because of my circumstances, and feeling like because I didn't fit this ideal or standard of what beauty was in the world, you know, I didn't fit these societal standards of what, you know, what it meant to be heard, you know, being perfect and presenting this like kind of perfect front to the world. I turned in on myself. I turned against myself in many ways. And I talk about it a lot in the song. We talk about, you know, self-harm and stuff. And it took a lot of work for me to kind of work through that and understand the value and worth that I had, and that we're these perfectly imperfect beings that are deserving of our moment, our space, our voices to shine our light onto the world. And once after years of work of meditation and like I said, with my Malibis and chanting and stuff, once I figured that out for myself, you know, I was, you know, wanting to shout it from the rooftops, and a lot of my music kind of reflects that, you know, just tapping into that sense of empowerment, you know, the importance of that, finding that beauty and that light within yourself. So that is what the album is, like finding myself, finding myself throughout the course of my journey, and finding that worth and that value amidst trauma, amidst tragedy and all these things. So yeah, that was the first song, and that was like the light bulb. And I wanted to share that message with the world because I know we're all facing, you know, a version of what I went through. So it's an important affirmational anthem for everybody.
That's right. I used to listen to this every single morning when you first dropped it. So excited for our listeners to hear it right now. It's Forever, Sa-Roc, KEXP, live at home.
Yeah, shine on them. That's my favorite. When I wake up, no makeup, half naked, I feel like I'm the Pardon my language, but hang-ups do not define the kid. No, I'm not flawless, I'm scarred up and I'm fine with it. My body on a laundry list of all of lust and kindnesses, but I still sip tea and chant ohms and live free. Cause hardships and heartbreaks turn to rap epiphanies. Mom told me stay warm cause all gold and glistening. Choose your words wisely cause the all-knowing's listening. But no worries, I'm Gucci. My thighs are little juicy. My dialogue, little awkward. My idols still move me. My life is a movie like Raheem and Mookie. I'm just trying to do the right thing, hope that it improves me. My bamboo's accustomed to me. You'll be soon accustomed to me. This the moral I got royal hemoglobin coursing through me. And my strength is now inhuman. I get that straight from my Umi. Shine this silk from out the grill of yours and truly. You better shine on them, baby, you a star. You better be exactly who you are forever. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Cause you so damn fine. You better be exactly who you are forever. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Don't let up. Cause you so damn fine. Yeah, I ain't get here overnight. I was in that mirror like 4 or 5 times a week on my mind. The beats was like affirmations like holy rights and still don't know everything. But I guess confessions from 8x11s and studio sessions seem like it's only right. And trust me, this my therapy. Fuck your couch. Finna murk all these Murphy types, funny salary. Shut your mouth, touch me, I'm slaughtering crews, squads, goons, team. The queen is coming to rule your region. Coming for all of your assets plus your house. I ain't always have it in me. No toilets for pretending. I was 14 years old, forcing pills down my throat, so my baby fat diminished. Still got these scars from cutting my wrist when I thought the light was finished. Now they remind me what my lows look like. Then I know the sky's the limit. Okay, never claim to be perfect. That's an impossible dream. I'm just saying that I'm worth it. That's the responsible thing. Spent half my life trying to find my light from outside sources, while the only voice that mattered came from me. You better shine on them, baby. You a star. You better be exactly who you are forever. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Cause you so damn fine just the way you are. You better be exactly who you are forever. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Don't let up. When Rock go in, she too aggressive, that's too masculine. And her content little too obsessive, just relax a bit. She say she God is narcissistic, just the facts of it. Now I don't really F with female rappers, that shit's sacrilege. Glad Island early, not to internalize every ink up. Daddy told me with every opinion there comes a sphincter. And they would rather see them thoughts than popularize the thinker. Why them lying archetypes just chase a cat, I'm trying to sphinx her. Rap fables, skin caramello, apparel mainly vintage. Meryl composed the warriors, so every verse became a vintage. Went through too much hell to not be fine, but they still feigning ignorance. So now I came to collect my just due with remaining interest. Baby, I'm a star without the flash fame of Fenty. Came out the dark, that up the entire game upon my entry. Kept it 100, messed around and gained another century. In this now I'm aimed to pop off till my mental chamber's empty. I'm unbothered, your standards is irrelevant. I might F around and rock about it, y'all just for the hell of it. They've been trying to model me for ages, cause my melanin. Now I'm soaking UV rays, but shaking slathering on my abdomen, my dude. The magic, my gang is goddess, my mood is savage, that's gang. Cottage bars moving, mountains my range, astonishing, dangerous, sonnets like rain and comets they blazing, trails through planets, all hell, it's kind of amazing. That's right, we'll call it self-love. Discovered I was dope and indulged like upscale drugs. And you can call me arrogant if that's gon' help love, but if you trying to knock me down, your demolitions fell, bruh. You better shine on them, baby, you a star. Be exactly who you are. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Cause you so damn fine just the way you are. You better be exactly who you are forever. Don't let up. Cause you so damn fine just the way you better shine on them, baby. Be exactly who you are forever. Cause they gon' try and change your heart. Don't let up. Cause you so damn fine just the way you better shine on them, baby, you a star. Be exactly who you are. Cause they're gon' try and change your heart. Cause you're so damn fine just the way you are. Forever. Let's go. Get it. Let's get it. They keep telling me chill, queen. Let them wait for the reveal scene. Now I'm about to put me in multiple spots. This is lyrical pox in your grill real, meaning I'm ill. I would not deal. I come from south side of DC. That means I only know how to go and chill. I'm on the marquee getting properly built. Cause stop at a part of my stock, I'm appeal, no ma'am. I'ma keep this campaign up till rock for present grains. The popular trust slogan, that's where goddamn see. I want you to levitate. My shit dope, let's medicate. While I'm croak out, I'm vocally abstaining for rap, they can magically celebrate. I'll hydroxy cut these lightweight MCs to a suitable size. I'm approximately 1/4 human, the rest is unidentified. I'ma take up every white space with some black characters, reverse gentrified. And body yada yada yada, jigga eyes with me, I keep the hearses outside. Beware, rare rap run through my veins, I'm either a female form. Y'all might get ghetto, but gotta shitonically lead to the retail torn. See, y'all won't win, try to box me in, I'm out of here like G-Form. And even my mumbles like rumbles and concrete jungles, your ditches, your warn. Yeah,
for real.
my crew is a very big deal. Everything we crave is 24K, let the code inside my grill.
I can reveal my sources.
Might be a real rap source, but look at your future, not what you used to. How we coming for your whole damn meal? Got it, gang, gang, gang. Got it, gang, gang, gang. Well,
Gang, gang, gang.
we coming for you. Gang, gang, gang.
Ready?
Mama said I could be anything. That was the dope part. But I grew up planning my dreams, it's downstream from the dope spot. And I'm a descendant of kings, and low-key fiends of the coca. From streets where the police beat, but your holy skin is the color of mocha. Hear me out, I've been through too much, and I'm too grown to play around with y'all. Now I'm a wild out every chance I get my rhyme delivery so animal. Every vet I see think I'm much too beast for the next breed of these amateurs. Fuck freshman classes, my text are classic, she music clutch like Amadeus. Woo! They scared of this black girl magic, my heritage packed well baggage. I learned this fly shit from my DNA to a tick, I say rock snapping. Beauty irrelevant, this is not pageants, I'm a rap dragon. Every time I open my trap, it's fire. Your outlook ending up tragic. Trust me, I do this for MOKN, for homies with criminal past. It's middle of passage with the McMash, a fresh adrenaline in the galactic. Amen. Bars laden with alien cadence, praying on enemy flagships. Mayhem. My shit have been down since day one, ready to take on the planet. Say when. Say when. Yeah, this is for real. My crew is a very big deal. Everything we crave is 24K. Let the gold inside my grill. I can't reveal my sources. Might be a real rap source, but look at your future, not what you used to. How we coming for the whole damn meal? Got it, gang, gang, gang. Got it, gang, gang, gang. Where at? Gang, gang, gang. Get 'em up. Gang, 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 gang. Got it, gang. Everybody in the building, put them hands up. We coming for you. This next one is called Grounded, and it's really about finding your foundation and finding your footing, and the understanding that you can only be right about who you are. You can't please other people out here. You can't please everyone on these social media pages, and you can't curate every part of your life so it, screams perfection, because sometimes we're not perfect. Sometimes we don't say the right things. And understanding that we can only be present and only be here for what we believe and how we present and how we move through the world is how we get free. Grounded. Yeah. Keep my 2 feet on the ground. I know it's gonna be right, but I'ma be right about me. I know it's gonna be alright, but I'ma get back on my feet. Forever seemed like a long time coming. Lines of sight blurred, except for these points I summon out the roof of my trap and off the floor of my stomach. Got my prayer stacked just in case my soaring star plummeted. One of these days I'ma give all of me. Honestly, always felt I was an oddity. Heart on my arm beat in harmony with the sinners. Gods and all their descendants marvel at their devils, they case with no public defenders. I winter in linens in summer in caramel fleece. Gotta keep them on their toes in case the carousel cease. Cause the second I switch up the broken record, my bread is stop rising regular like I failed to add yeast. And a gram, 1 a pound of your flesh for the networks. Call up with them validated checks, call it net worth. Stories give them pieces, got them feeding off of excerpts. You are the best parts, you fight away just like a desk clerk. Did it, I admit it, kept the aura light hidden. Now I shine on it, clicking sun on all of my rhythms. Cause a brand little more than just a glorified prison. Understand I was always more than meet your eye vision, that's free.
I know it's gonna be right,
But I'ma be right about me.
I know it's gonna be alright, but I'ma get
Back on my feet,
and that's the way it is. You can't tell me nothing. You might like an image, but you don't really love me. I got too much in me for you to take it from me now. That's how I learned to be free.
I was on my humble. They say that pride go before the fall. Watch a lot of rookies stall, rain relays before they crawl. Back then, every verse I started gave me momentary pause. The masterpieces lapsed in atrophy between my jaws. I was worried how the world might view me through their lens. Saw the negatives developing me. Image made me cringe. Used to fire cannons out my mental chambers on the wind, but I could barely find a spark. Still, I kept flaming with the pen. Then I said, fuck it. Might as well just make it public. If they can't rock with the ugly right along with cute, it won't get published. I'm the seed of empty queens. The Herculean strength had up the skies. Far too many of them stuck or dry, discarded, hus denied. Hit me like a slow bullet, shot day, I do surrender. I was born into some G shit, learned to shoot with full cylinders. Drew that power of my blood and won a globe of loose syringes. Cause my spirit been ignited, I might get stuck diffusing embers. Y'all gon' get it all, power and that pain too. Ain't never really loved the sun till I saw what that rain do. And it's becoming clear to me that every line don't have to have an angle. Rather inspire the truth than entertain you, and that's free.
I know it's gonna be right,
But I'ma be right about me. Yeah, I know it's gonna be right,
but I'ma get back on my feet.
and that's the way it
You can't
is.
tell me nothing. You might like an image, but you don't really love me. I got too much in me for
You to take it from me now. That's how I learned to be free. I know it's gonna be right,
but I'ma be right about
but
me.
I'ma be right about me. I know it's gonna be alright,
but I'ma get back on my feet.
and that's the way
You can't tell me
it is.
nothing. You might like an image,
But you don't really love me.
I got too much in me for you to take it from me now.
That's how I learned to be free.
Beautiful, beautiful. Man, Sa-Roc. I gotta thank you so much for this album. I know I've said it like 5 times already, but one of my favorite albums this year. You did an album where you talked about generational trauma from, grandparents who were sharecroppers to the crack era in Washington, D.C. And yeah, I just wanted to ask you about what brought those stories together on this album, because it seems like those are the two themes that you come back to throughout the record.
Right. Because, I wanted to make the connection between my father and his upbringing, which formed heavily my foundation, between his upbringing and his experience growing up on tobacco farm, sharecropping with his family, and all of the stories that he shared with us about how, growing up, during the Jim Crow era and growing up, in poverty, how that kind of like formed his worldview, and, things that he left unsaid, things that I saw in the way that his upbringing influenced some of his behaviors, later in life, and how that was passed down to us for the good and the bad,
Yeah.
and how my experience growing up in DC during like the crack era, when it was called murder capital, when seeing, so many things from a young age, heavily over policing and police misconduct in the hood and all of that, and families just plagued by addiction, how upon like further examination, I was seeing how these two experiences, so different, so seemingly divergent, were just symptomatic of an American history and legacy of oppression, and this desire for the country to silence these stories, erase these stories, have only caused these things to erupt generation after generation. And my family's experience of also personally not knowing how to address some of these traumas and some of these pains have unknowingly caused them to be bestowed upon, myself, and not really knowing how to find a sense of clarity, underneath all of that weight and that heaviness. And so I began an exploration of my own, trying to find, I knew that, there's so much beauty. And I saw my father struggling with that. He was a visual artist, and I saw him wanting to depart from that just those painful memories and stuff, and wanting to channel that through his art, but not getting a chance to, because we were also, we were a working class family, struggling with our own needs and trying to navigate this kind of path that was fraught with so much uncertainty and so many obstacles. I wanted to dig deep and find that treasure and find that value and find that worth, and be able find a way to carry it with me at all time, and find a way to not be at all times and not be submerged, underneath all of the things that we were burdened with. So it's really all about kind of breaking that cycle. We hear a lot about generational cycles and generational curses, and the key was for me to not be afraid to face it. And then I feel like why this album took so long, because, it's challenging dealing with or revisiting some of those things that were some of the most painful moments of my life, and revisiting as an adult some of the painful stories that my father has shared with me, and starting to finally understand him and have some kind of clarity, and wanting to reframe and reimagine our family's future and share those tools, with other people who may not even be aware that they're carrying this, So I kind of put it all on the table, and it's interesting too, because this is the first album with the label Rhyme Sayers, and it's always a reintroduction of who I am as an artist. So it was really, really important for me to share this important lesson I learned on my journey to womanhood, on my journey to being a better artist and a better illustrator of what, expressing yourself and being true to who your authentic self, what it can look like. Yeah.
I thank you for it so much, because as I was listening to the album again today, I was thinking I also grew up through the crack era, also had family members that were, addicted. And for me, that's some of my, most personal, hardest trauma to face. And so often in hip hop, we hear, the popular story of the crack era is the glorified seller, but not the trauma that it's inflicted upon an entire generation, and to hear an album really go deep on it, it meant a lot to me, I wanted to ask you what, tackling topics that are this heavy, that are this traumatic, what does self-care look like for you? Was there therapy also involved, in the creation of this album, or was the music the therapy itself,
The music was definitely the therapy, and I'm a huge advocate of plant medicine. So I all the holy basil, all the all the chamomile, all the adaptogenic herbs and all of that, CBD, all of that. And then just meditation is a huge part of my practice. It has been for quite some time. My parents actually introduced the family to meditation. They're on some black hippie-ish, transcendental meditation and stuff. So that's always been, centered in my family. So I went back to that, as part of the stuff I'm talking about were forever. Like that was a key part of me being able to tap into myself, having moments of stillness, having moments disconnected from the internet and social media and other people. Just having that silence was so important for the healing part of it. And yeah, like and yoga also as well. But like those key things, like meditation is like, ooh, my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, this is related to a lyric that you spared earlier today. You referenced Toni Morrison. And I just wanted to ask you, like, what are some of your influences outside of music, maybe in literature?
I'm a huge Octavia Butler fan. She's just incredible. Her imagination, her I speak of her in the present tense because she still lives, Say
that.
She was able to conceptualize these concepts that were so, I'm not from the 70s, but the only thing I can say is like far out. Like they were so advanced, and like I had to reread some of her things like to try to envision where she was going. She was so far ahead of her time.
Yeah.
And to have a woman who, a Black woman at that, be exploring like speculative fiction and sci-fi and like all of that was just incredible and groundbreaking. And I always look to women like that for sources of power and sources of motivation. And there's a quote that I I'm gonna paraphrase it, that I go back to time and time again from her. That first of all, forget inspiration, habit is more dependable. And she talks about like habit will, sustain and refine your stories when inspiration will not,
Absolutely.
And so like I go back to that, she's just so full of wisdom. This is a woman who wrote out her vision and her plan for her life and manifested that thing.
That's right.
So anyway, so Octavia Butler, love her dearly. James Baldwin, huge inspiration, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. And then there are some people who they were creatives in my life that weren't like world renowned. I had a teacher named Hasanatu Kamara, who was actually in Haile Garima's Sankofa film.
Okay.
And she was an actor, and she was a poet, and she was an activist, and she was one of my early inspirations that kind of prodded me to be comfortable in my body, be comfortable in expressing myself creatively on stage. And she would always just be like, "You're so brilliant," give me that boost that I needed to believe in myself. Yeah. And I always credit her for being like kind of pushing me on that path. And I didn't really realize it until I was a lot older, that she was kind of like the embodiment of who I wanted to be as a person in this world, being fearless and being, tireless in their quest for creating content and pushing others towards finding the strength within themselves to fight for what they believe in, through the arts, through a creative expression and through using your voice as a vehicle for that. So there's tons of people. Can't name them all here, but
yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so glad I asked you that question because, man, that Octavia Butler quote, "Habit is more dependable than inspiration," is literally something I use for writing workshops all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, like she lived here in Seattle actually. When she passed, and we got a lot of personal connections to Octavia.
Absolutely.
Here in Seattle. So that's from Bloodchild for everyone out there listening. It's one of the notes after one of the short stories in Bloodchild. That's dope. You talked a little bit about you performing as something from Watulu Shakur earlier. I wanted to ask you, are there still ways that, community organizing and activism intersects with your music today?
I think more on I do some stuff with community-based businesses, and I haven't been in Atlanta as much to do because that's where my core community is now. So when I can, I'll do like fundraisers and stuff like that, like donate my time and my music in that way. And I've done, when I get a chance, I go to like schools and talk with children and things like that. Like I work with Hip Hop is Green, and do work kind of informing the community about like plant-based eating and the effects of plant-based eating on the environment and health. And so that's in many ways just very important for me to be a part of that. So I try to like jump in when I can, when I'm not touring. And, if Pam Africa is calling from Philly, I'm there, I'm doing, what I'm saying? So, yeah. Because that's really important for me. I came from, the support. I grew out of the support of the community, my educational background and, my childhood was bolstered and sustained by community. So it's really important for me to partner with people I feel really strongly about. There's a school called Quilombo in Atlanta. I actually featured in one of my videos.
Oh,
but
which video is it?
In The Who with David Banner.
Oh yeah, I know exactly the video you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I just did like a fundraiser show with them, and I just try to do what I can when I have moments. Especially working with children. I love doing stuff with children as well.
Yeah.
That's the babies. They need to hear it.
That's awesome. So it is the middle of a pandemic. I'm going to lean into what just happened. The internet broke up, so I have to ask this question again. But yeah, releasing an album in the midst of this pandemic, how has this journey been for you, and how are you through it all?
I am good. Admittedly, hasn't always been like that.
Yeah.
It took some time to get to that place, but like I was saying before, like right when it happened, I was on tour, and it kind of interrupted that, like my plans for the year, And in no way am I comparing my loss or my tour interruptions to what other people all over the world have been experiencing in terms of personal losses and losses of family members and all of that. But, just to put it in my own perspective. So initially when, it happened, I was just finishing a tour with Rhapsody. We ended up cutting the last date because everything was, shutting down. The states were shutting down and stuff. And I was supposed to do a European tour like when I got back, like a week after I got back. And the gravity of this thing still hadn't really hit because we were busy performing. We were hearing things, but people were still coming out to shows, and I think it hadn't, the way the tour was set up, like as we left states, that's when like states were starting to come. I remember leaving like right after we left Seattle, like we heard that Seattle was, shutting down the nursing homes and stuff like that.
I told you before, but y'all were the last show I saw before the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was right after that. It's done.
Yeah. So things were happening kind of rapidly because we were so wrapped up in what we had to do, like the grind of it all. We didn't really grasp, I didn't really fully grasp like the seriousness of it. And so when the shows were starting to be canceled, like what the things that I had planned for, even before the album dropping, the tours and stuff were starting to be canceled. It was scary, that sense of uncertainty. Being an independent artist, and this is your, primary revenue stream. And then also, a huge part of what I value about making music is that stage performance. I love the energy of that. I love the vibe. I love connecting with supporters. I love just expressing myself in that way and being free with my body and just like reinterpreting songs. Like that's a huge part of what what drives me. And when I didn't have that anymore, it shook me, to my core. And being forced to be still, being forced to be alone, having this sense of solitude kind of made me reflect on that. Like, what else is driving you? What else is your driving force, your core drive, if you will? I've been watching a lot of Westworld lately.
I binge watched it too.
Yes. So yeah, like what is that? And what is
it froze again?
I know. Okay, we're back. Do we have to pivot all the time? Do we have to readily pivot all the time? Is it more therapeutic for us to take that moment and just kind of like be still and kind of like be okay with the uncertainty and be okay with not knowing and switching up your routine, a little bit. So I had to do that. I took a while, like a little bit offline, just kind of like heavily getting back into my wellness routines. And luckily we had already set the album for a fall date. So that wasn't necessarily affected. But again, like what happens after you normally drop an album? You go on tour. So like figuring that out, and it's interesting. But I think because the album is so timely and the material is so relevant for this year, it was supposed to come when it came. It was supposed to be here. It's supposed to be birthed and revealed to the world, exactly when it came, right in this moment. So, I don't regret anything. We just figure out how to adapt, and that's what we do,
That's right. I feel like the answer to this question was an example of just like pushing right through it, and finding ways. And it's wild, like having to become your own engineer all of a sudden. Like we're all learning all at once, like how to film at home. Like it's
exactly. And like Messiah is like King Tech, so he loved it. Like, okay, now we got to do this. Now we're doing Zoom interviews and all this stuff. So like, what's the newest piece that we need to have? But for me, like I don't like being on camera. So I'm like, oh God, now I gotta be seen and be, so it's an interesting process that we're all kind of navigating through. But,
That's right. Man, I can't wait. Hopefully this year you'll be able to get back on the road and we'll be able to, see you and see shows again. I miss shows.
Yeah.
Do you have before we're out of here, I just want to ask, do you have like any favorite shows that you've seen?
Yeah, man.
Like what are some of your favorite concerts and why?
Okay, so D'Angelo, when he came out with I can't even think of the album. What's the album? Messiah.
Oh, Black Messiah.
Was it Black Messiah? Black Messiah. Mm-hmm. When he came out with Black Messiah, after that long absence, the tickets were crazy. But I was like, it don't matter. I want to see D'Angelo. I hadn't seen him since I was like 16 years old. And I was like, I want to see him. And there were people, like we had the choice whether we're going to be up in the balcony. I always want to be in the front, like so I can feel the energy of the performer, like be in the midst of it. People who didn't even know each other were like, we felt like we were at the family reunion, like everybody was smiling at each other, dancing, like the music was perfect, just, oh my gosh, pristine. His voice was pristine. Like it was church. Mm-hmm. And I don't even go to church, but it was that feeling that I could imagine, like that Holy Ghost feeling of being caught up in that energy. It was so beautiful, and it forever will go down as one of my most memorable concerts or memorable shows. The other show, I'm gonna give you three because there's so many. But Rage Against the Machine and Wu-Tang, when they did the tour together, that was amazing because we had lawn seats. I'm 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I remember Wu-Tang was like, but bum rush security, bum rush the fence. Like, because a lot of people had lawn seats. Apparently, there weren't a lot of people who could afford to being up front. So Wu-Tang was like mad that they were, they didn't have like a full audience. So everybody just started like, people were flicking cigarettes. Of course, security guards. I'm so sorry to y'all. But we ended up bum rushing the fence, climbing over the fence, rushing to the front of the stage to see the last of Wu-Tang's performance, and then vibing out to Rage Against the Machine, which was my favorite and still remains, one of my favorite groups. Yeah. And that just kind of rebel energy has always like stayed with me. And it was one of the greatest shows and I've seen Rage a couple times, but like that show was amazing. And then Outkast, the Stankonia album.
Okay.
Because I've seen them a couple of times, but the Stankonia album. And I remember I was hating because like everybody, it was a lot of new fans in there. And I was like, y'all singing all the classics. Y'all singing all the commercial joints, which was still good.
Oh, yeah.
But they did, what's that song they did? Do you know what brings rats? Mike's Snake.
Oh, Chunky Fire.
They did that.
Yeah,
that's on Stankonia, right?
No, that's on Aquemini.
That's on Aquemini. So am I confusing both? Am I confusing the album? But so maybe I'm thinking of the Aquemini album actually.
Stankonia is the one that blew up though. That's the one with B.O.B. and everything.
Right. And that's the one that was hype. So I'm confusing two concerts, but both of them were really dope. Yeah. But like it was Aquemini because I remember seeing they had the set with the caddy on stage. With the caddy on stage. And that was so hype. But anyway, they did Chunky Fire. And they were like, I don't know. The crowd, like sometimes the crowd just be looking at us when we do this song, right?
Wow.
Should we do this song? And we were like, yeah. So it was some real Outkast fans in there. Mm-hmm. And we went crazy when they did that song, when that like guitar hit, like everybody went crazy. And then you could tell like they were so happy. Like they were excited that we responded the way that we did. And like that
broke up again.
Experience, seeing like the artists actually being just proud of like the effect that their music had on the audience and being a part of that, like really, really kind of helped to form like my love for hip hop and music and like that synergy between audience and performer.
Man, the corona ate the internet again. I think it's my fault for asking about the pandemic, but you were talking about Chunky Fire, Outkast, Aquemini. That had to be an incredible show.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And that's why I'm a lifelong fan.
I mean, it's Outkast. I'm a lifelong fan. I ain't even seen them. Like,
right, right. And that's the thing, but like it's those performances that like when you have that kind of connection between audience, fans, and artists, and you can see directly how the influence, like each group is influencing the other. Like seeing Dre like be so happy that we responded that way, and he didn't expect it. You know what I mean? And honestly, without saying, I think he was thinking that because we were a predominantly black crowd, like we wouldn't rock with the whole like rock element of it. But hey, DC been on some, man, Bad Brains came out of DC. Like what you talking about?
Oh yeah. I forgot that you would have been in DC at that time and not in Atlanta. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's it. The performances are so important to me as an artist because I've had so many memorable ones as a fan, as a supporter.
Absolutely. We got to do what we can to save our stages so we got places to rock after this, So.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing those memories. It gets me hyped to go see some shows again, honestly. Like, I can't wait,
Yeah, but, and there were so many good shows lined up. Like, Rage was going to be on tour with Run the Jewels.
Literally during while you were coming back online, I was just talking to our engineer about how I had tickets for that show. Yes. I didn't get to go.
We did too. And Tom York was going to be performing as well. And we were going to go see Tom York. Anyway.
Tom York was going to be at the same show?
No, not the same show. He was going to be performing this year. We were going to go to the two shows in Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah, that would have been fire.
Yeah, but
we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna be able to go see live music again one day.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. But until then,
We do what we can.
We do what we can.
Yeah, we connect how we can. Man, Sa-Roc, it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy again. Thank you so much for your time.
Likewise. Thank you.
Absolutely. This is KEXP, live at home. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.